Party Yachamiana Yanti Yasako Pumatantu, Manina Pudnikana Yakana, Nina Padipalima Pokimokabando, Tola Pro Tikandi, Tinanya Panda Tapana Tutokuma, Yanchikaniara, Yachiara. Today we are meeting on sacred Ghana land. We pay respects to all the Ghana that were and all the Ghana that are. We pay respects to all of our elders, earthside and beyond, and to all First Nations people. On behalf of the ancestors and Ghana people, we welcome you to our country and ask that as you travel these plains, you remember the people that walked here before you. The spirit still lives amongst the steel, the concrete, the roads, and the lawns. Wherever you go, you stand on unceded Aboriginal land. Always was, always will be.
Amazing.
Naarm.
Hello, everybody. You gotta talk back to me. Hello, everybody. Awesome. Before we start, I'd like to take a moment as well to acknowledge traditional custodians of the land that we gather around the Ghana people, and that I live and create and manifest and exist and build art on Yagara and Turrbal country, Meanjin. So I'm honored and humbled to be here, and to any First Nations person in the room, thank you for thousands of years of history, of culture, of audacity to exist, for paving the way and allowing me to be a drop into an endless ocean of pure art. So thank you so much for having us. You can clap now. I'll cue you. We're gonna work together as a team. My name is Huda the Goddess, and this is Reuben Lewis. And we are a story of another soul. Thank you so much for being here. It is our official launch and our third show together. Woo, woo! Yeah. I'm very excited to be here. I'm also slightly nervous, which is incredibly exciting because it takes a special type of work to be nervous about and to have all the pressure to deliver. I feel like it's always important to give people the context of the vinyl. Has anyone heard the vinyl online or some snippets? Hands up. No? Even better. Love that. So I got commissioned by an amazing publisher, Phil Day, who said, hey, I saw a video of you on YouTube, and I really like your poetry, and I thought if you wanted to come do a jazz vinyl. And I was like, cool. That sounds great. I like Melbourne. I like jazz. Let's do this. A few months later, he flew me down to Naarm, Melbourne, and I had just had like a Zoom call with Reuben, and I was like, hey, I'm an improvised poet. This sounds like a great project that can really be exciting for both of us. We met, had some great food, went to the studio, and the initial meeting was supposed to be he plays his music, I do some poetry, and we can see what type of project we can create together. And it ended up being a 3-hour session and music I had never heard, and that's the vinyl. It's 3 hours of improvised poetry that he mastered, chopped, and produced that became the story of another soul. So what you will hear if you take the vinyl home or you get the audio version of it is 3 hours of freestyle, of just incredible music and me being able to be guided by the music to go somewhere. So tonight's show is not scripted, it is not planned. You actually are having a sneak peek into our studio session. So for however long you have us, which might be a little long, you guys are welcome into our studio. And it is going to be 40 to 50 minutes of improvised poetry and improvised music. So there is no plan, there is no poem, there's just like really great music and hopefully some words to accompany it. So yeah, it will be fabulous. Can I get a hand up if you've been to a poetry show before? Yeah, yo, this is the most hands I've ever seen. Come on, Adelaide. Yeah. So as you know, poetry etiquette is the snapping. I also accept dams, woos, and ha's, so please feel free to make as much noise as you would like. This is an engaging performance. This is supposed to be a conversation with you and I. I say that my art is my soul in ink. And this is probably the rawest and the most uncut way to get my poetry, because you're hearing what I do on stage, which is an improvised set. So I hope you guys enjoy and get lost, but also please take care of yourself. Poetry is raw, and I tell a lot of stories that are real life, but that are not always pretty and colorful, but they're really my life. So please take care of yourself in the space and enjoy. Oh, Mother, I seek you in dark rooms with no color, and the type of stillness that rearranges my heart's synchronicity. Oh, Mother, I have searched for you when my demons sit across me at tables, when my tears attempt to wash away the scars, leaving a sting I cannot get rid of. Oh, Mother, I have been kissed by the sun and didn't feel any warmth. I have danced with shadows even after the sun has disappeared. Oh, Mother, my heart and I have become somewhat of separate bodies, and I know its job is to remind me of what love is supposed to feel like, but all it does is beat so hard. I wish I could relocate it out of my own body. Oh, Mother, I have forgotten what love tastes like, if it has a sound or a feeling. Oh, Mother, I seek warmth of the world, but strangers' hands have become the most uncomfortable place for me to want to run into. Oh, Mother, me and love have become strangers. My past has turned into a ghost that haunts my present, so my future is fading. Oh, Mother, I seek you in places that have become dim and still. The air is chilly. I have lost the sound of my own voice. Oh, Mother, I have written eulogies for love stories that haven't ended yet. I have prepared for completion, waved goodbyes to bodies that are trying to convince me they want to be here. Oh, Mother, me and love have a clumsy relationship, so I end up falling for the cracks in between, landing on my face, and the people who break you are the ones that watch you try to staple yourself together. Oh, Mother, me and love have become strangers, and I don't know where to find it, so instead I'm gonna speak to you, oh, Mother. Make it so that my eyes have readjusted themselves to find the light, because me and the dark have become friends. And I've become so good at forgiving people because I've been disappointed so many times that forgiveness is the only thing I can offer. Dear ex-lovers, I am sorry I made it your job to heal the child in me you did not break. I am sorry our relationship was built on us becoming stitches to each other. I have mothered men who wanted to father me. They attempted to give me consistency and security. In exchange, I nurtured them at the expense of my cup being empty. Dear ex-lovers, the seat was never reserved for you, and I know I made it seem comfortable. I was awaiting for my father to arrive, come back and give me everything I was promised at birth. Instead, you showed up. So this love nest became a hospital, and at points of time, you were the nurse and you tagged me in when you couldn't nurse me. And somehow along the way, I forgot that love wasn't about fixing people. It wasn't even about the audacity to hope for better. It wasn't about rebirthing a child in you that got lost. It wasn't about forgiving the people who left you through people that have stayed. So, dear ex-lovers, I'm sorry that sometimes our conversations feel like hospital visits. And our touch was a seek to be seen by the world. That I chase validation in your eyes and a comfort in the sound of I love you that I don't even know what it meant. Dear ex-lovers, I'm trying to leave enough room for me to forgive you and forgive myself for the person we have created. Leave enough room for the future self to exist. Because the scariest thing to me is to imagine that my first love got all the love I had to give and everybody else is gonna have to get droplets. That I'd given as much action, as much willingness, as much time and kindness and patience, and the next person is gonna get 75, and by the time I found this thing called a soulmate or my other, I'll have nothing to give. I haven't figured out how to pour back what I've given to the world, so dear ex-lovers, I urge you to bring back some of the stuff you just have with you to validate that I loved you. That we shouldn't burn the things you bought me. I would actually like my self-confidence that you met me with. My willingness to love, I'd like that back. My courage to walk into something unknown, I want that again. I want to be bold and love, and not so clumsy that I fall, but willing enough that I don't need a map to find my way around it. Dear ex-lovers, you've convinced me that closure is not a thing because I don't need an ex-lover to tell me all the reasons why they didn't want me. That you choosing not to be here is the only closure I need to close the door and keep moving and open a new one. But I urge you to bring back everything you have taken that you don't need to solidify the love that we once had. But I will say, I apologize for making your job to heal a child in me that you did not break. The child in me died a long time ago, and the adult I am is still stuck at the funeral. I have a eulogy in my left hand and an old toy on my right. I have my mourning mother and my faded image of my father in the background. My sister still trying to figure out how she can steal my shirt and pretend like she isn't the one who took it. The adult and me is still stuck at that funeral or dressed in black. The collars of my shirt are drenched in tears. Everyone is sobbing, and I'm sitting still, curious as to why they're crying now that I'm an adult, but nobody cried when I was dying. The child in me died, and the adult me is watching strangers who thought they were friends to me shed tears. For the child in me that died as a result of this world's neglect, my toys are spread on the ground, a Barbie doll that looks nothing like me, that made me want to turn my body into a surgeon's table and cut out every piece the world was told me was not right for me to be beautiful. There was a magazine cover with a woman so beautiful I couldn't fathom how she was created, because something like that isn't simply born. And I wish I could cookie cutter myself to look exactly like her, but I have too much of depth of melanin. My smile is a little crooked and my eyes are wide enough to see into the future. And who wants a fortune teller at their birthday party? There was a backpack with one strange toy that I don't know where I got, a book I have never read, that I carry with me everywhere. And I wish in there was a line of affirmations to remind me that I have God's smile and eyes that bury the ocean in them, that come out in the form of tears. I'm looking at the funeral site. There are eulogies in elders' hands that they are crushing. My mother is mourning and my father's image is fading in the background. And there is no music but stillness, and the sun feels harsh. And I'm waiting for it to go down so I can dance in the moonlight, because I'm done and I'm tired of crying. My toys are spread on the ground and I'm still looking at the Barbie doll. I attempted to cut the hair off so she looks a bit like my afro, but she still doesn't look the same. And there is still a magazine cover with a woman so beautiful I was convinced she was created, not born. And there are old pictures of my grandmother that I lost as a small child, who was the first person to believe in me before I was anything. And I'm stuck at this funeral, and all I can do is read the eulogy over and over and over. And my mother keeps crying and my father keeps fading, and there are still toys on the ground, and my sister is distracted by the adults trying to cover up the pain, and neglect is the only thing we sample. And there is no feud at this funeral, because who wants to indulge on past selves? The child in me died, and the adult is still stuck at the funeral. And these eulogies were written by bare hands and broken wrist, and this pen has become my friend I write poetry with. There's a child in me that died, and this adult is still dressed in black, stuck at the funeral. How you guys feeling? I unfortunately cannot see faces at all, so this is my check-in. Come on, Reuben, make some noise for Reuben. Yeah! Also, as I am an improvised poet, you can say a word while I'm speaking and I will just weave it into the story. I usually do it at the end of the set, but I'm making stuff up, so it doesn't matter when you say it, to be honest. So there is a God in her we see, and she comes back with light. That was beautiful. I come from a city where people dream while they're still awake. And my uncle used to say, sleep is a disturbance to the poor we cannot afford. So we stay alert, we imagine out loud, we create the worlds with our fingertips, make music out of our laughter, we sit on top of balconies, we sip on hot tea, and we imagine a world that will never be ours. I come from a city that doesn't sleep, so it's only right that their souls stay awake. Street corners are full of children's giggles and the fragrant smell of happiness amongst poverty. And I know what it's like to walk into a home that has a fridge that has nothing in it and you still open it hoping something will be there. I am familiar with beds with legs that are broken from holding people that are collapsing. I know walls that have buried screams in them, but somehow we muster up the courage to smile, to imagine, to be bold enough to see happiness in small moments. My mother's philosophy in life is, if I only got one thing left, I'ma split it with somebody who got nothing. At least we both got something, right? I grew up in a 1-bedroom apartment with an esky for a fridge and a barbecue stove and a mother who had a smile that could shut down a building. And a heartbeat that on its own could be a whole band. And it is magic to me how she always fed us hope for tomorrow and showed us that gratitude is the appreciation for moments that you will replay in your mind even when you have money. I grew up in a city that doesn't sleep, guided and loved by a woman who had so many scars we didn't even have time to count them, who gave us as much love as she could offer the world, gathered communities at her feet. And as the world abandoned her and neglected her, and she wrote shopping lists full of poverty and tables went ungathered, but we still sat at them to laugh and tell stories about how one day I'm gonna own a mansion and it's gonna overlook a beach and all my cousins are gonna play outside and there will be music booming and there will be smiles that I swear to you on a capsule put out as art pieces in museums. And we imagined and had the courage to see tomorrow as possibly for us, even though the world has always been against us. Because the broke and poor are casualties of the world. Because the people who have nothing did something to get them there where they have nothing. So it is easy to chuck them on street corners, walk across them as if there's something to fear. I get it. There's a lot to fear with poverty. There's a lot to fear with loneliness. There's a lot to fear when you can't fix those people so immediately that you feel better about sleeping on the pillow you could buy. But it's not even the story I want to tell. Is these 2 6-year-old men who used to sit outside and drink tea as if the cup was magic and it would refill themselves. Because I swear to you, I never saw them get up. But the cup was always full. And their smiles looked like they were carved out by surgeons' knives. And their eyes could give the stars competition. And their laugh filled up street corners where you think violence lived. And they would gather young ones and instill knowledge and philosophy. And one of them used to be like, oh, here comes the doctor. And I said, listen, it might be me one day, but I can't even write yet. And he goes, don't worry. You think a doctor is someone who opens people, but you might be the one to close them up. And every day, like clockwork, he would see me, he goes, oh, there comes the doctor. And I never knew what it meant until now. And I don't have the skill to open people up. What I do have is the capacity to stand by them while they close themselves shut. To whisper prayers into their scars, turn my voice cords and my vocals, turn my chest into a library of affirmations, spill it out and turn it into poetry. And I still remember those 2 men at the corner of the street, like clockwork. And the world didn't give them a career, or money, or even the fortune of a long and healthy life. But what they gave them is the capacity to give people like me hope. To allow me to dream, because while they stood up All night talking, I could rest, and I used their voices as background music so that my nightmares would disappear. So now, I write poems about them in front of strangers and tell them how I've become the doctor that helps stitch people up. Somebody was gonna be bold enough to do it. For some people, music is a distraction. It is the thing that shuts the world out, allows them to sit in a small box where the sound is control variables for them. And for others, it is the only way that they can turn all the things broken in their body into something beautiful. I often think of physicians, but my favorite are the ones that have been able to almost bend themselves out of shape to create something you didn't even think was possible, to the dancer that allows music to have a home in their skin, for them to be able to spell out a movement that redefines what winds can do, to the one that embodies the music, dances within it, becomes the sound of the trumpet, the ones that move to the drums, that are ones that have violins as if it is sitting on the tip of their tongues, turn movement to the dancer who's turned every place into one of joy. Created the type of stories that don't need words for them to exist. Broken out of their own pain, created escape within the music. Allowed every space to be one that is filled with joy. I don't know how many of you guys have done this, but there are nights there is not enough word to express how you feel, and you're not even willing to try. There are days where the diary feels heavy and the pen is exhausting to hold. There are times where music is the only thing that understands where you come from, and an empty space is the only thing you urge, so you put on your headphones and you imagine that no one in the world exists, and that music was made just for you, and your body does things it can never do with an audience, but it feels so good. There are nights where I dance and my sweat feels like my soul is cleansing itself through the music. And there's that sense of heavy breathing, like you've let go of something, like you've dropped the heavy bag you've been carrying around with you all day, and there are no words needed because the music was the end of the sentence. There's no follow needed. You have said everything, bent everything out of your body, allowed all that needed to escape to leave, and the music was the greatest audience you could have ever had. And now your body can rest, and your mind is almost blank, and your room feels less dark and hollow and more alive. I hope that did it. I don't know. My insecurities mask themselves as questions to throw me off. This track always gets me. Type of adult that still believes in magic. Oh, I don't know if it's the fascination with the magician. I'm the adult that still believes that maybe one day we'll grow wings and fly. That I believe in the almost impossible. I'm the adult that still believes in ghosts, in some form of reincarnation, that believes in rebirth. Because all those things sound like a second chance to me. And who wouldn't want to believe in that? It's something that can be empty and hollow and has no possibility in the world, has given hope on it, and being something valuable can be magic. And I've met magicians, and I meet them every day. And sometimes they're a pretty girl at the cafe who serves me chai latte, and she smiles to the side. We never shared too many words, but something about her familiar space makes me feel comfortable. Oh, it's the old bus driver that drops me off in the city and always asks how my day is, and my answer is always shit. It's the old man sitting outside his house after he's done with all the gardening. I meet magicians all the time. They remind me that greatness is possible, that rebirth is necessary, that hoping for a better tomorrow is a must. So yes, I'm the type of adult that believes in magicians, and I believe that your ghost is your past self coming to the future you to remind you of how far you've already come. I believe that scary things are also extremely beautiful. I believe that different just is a synonym for great. That I am that different, which means I'm great. So yeah, I'm the type of adult that believes in magicians, believes that some tricks are needed to be able to rebirth a sense of yourself, that I believe in ghosts, which are your past self coming up to the future you to tell you just how far you have always come. That hope is a dying spark. But sometimes my hope for magic is my hope that poetry is a prayer that will turn into something alive. That it's not just words on empty pages and that will collect dust, because who reads poetry anymore, right? So I have to believe in magicians. I have to believe that stranger at home, married to the darkness and had made best friends with depression, will escape out of it. It doesn't have to be the rhetoric of their life. And for those who have anxiety as an uninvited dinner table guest that shows up at the most inconvenient times, can give them an exit note. I have to believe that this fear of loneliness is simply a fear and is not reality, that love is destined for all of us, even at times when we don't recognize them. So yes, I have to believe in magicians. I have to believe that children's smiles are not the only and last thing that is innocent in this world. That me and a stranger can share a smile and a conversation. There is love somewhere in this world. I have to believe there is something else out there that is magic, that will revive our hope. That we can't always be on this escape from dark spaces, forgetting that even if you have a candle light in the middle of the room, it will look less daunting. That this chase is not as fun as making people seem. that we have lost the ability to be still, without it being chilling and uncomfortable and scary. I have to believe in magic. I have to believe that doves come out of hats and rabbits in a humane way. I have to believe in magic, because then you and I aren't real. That tomorrow is not what we're building it to be, which is better. There is no magic, then there is no us. That you and I are victims of our own imagination. That there is a daunting expiration date, but we must believe in magic. And you have to believe that you are the magician at the same time. Y'all are so sweet. How are we doing for time? Because I have ADHD, time blindness is real. I will be here all day. Just all day. Fabulous. I'm gonna stand up for a minute. Do we want to stay on the love train, or do we want to jump somewhere else? How do we feel? Where do you want to go? This is your train, you the conductor. I like that color. It's a good pick, very good pick. Yay, must be televised. Always. She's a sorcerer, one with skin that glowed, and she bathed herself in the ocean and smelt like roses you cannot buy. She is a sorcerer, with a smile that was drawn by God choosing to grow arms so she can be his creation. She is a sorcerer. And her days off like finding the nearest body of water, cleansing herself with the ocean, having a conversation with Mother Nature and reminding herself that greatness has always lived in the pit of her stomach, and as she chases affirmation from the world outside, she always has it in the palm of her hands. She's a sorcerer. One that has become obsessed with studying all her scars, forgetting that they're all stories of how she is so very beautiful. He is art. And the way he is masked itself, and that strength to him is the capacity to exist in a room and create the type of tension that provokes curiosity and has someone across the room aiming to be like you, and they don't even know the layers you encompass. They are sorcerers, and their days off look like bathing in the sun, allowing it to find home on your skin, heartbeats that recreate what we think music should be. She's all the colors of the rainbow, the depth of orange as the sun is setting, the glow of yellow like a spotlight on a body that is forgetting that it's special. She's a red rose you give to your loved ones, the ocean's blue, the purity of white. She is a fragrant. She's a gem like turquoise. She's one you place on a ring that symbolizes love. She glows in shades you can't even understand, so you have to minimize her to purple or blue. She's every color in the rainbow. He is the audacity to exist. Art on the palm of his hands, footsteps that feel like ancestors reviving themselves to exist again. And days for sorcerers off feels like embodying the ocean, dancing in the sun, reminding themselves that you are everything you have ever searched for from the world. And at every empty room that once had lovers in it that evicted themselves is you leaving enough space for the love you have to bounce off walls and to become the soundtrack of your life. That they are sorcerers. The ones with museums of truth tattooed on the inside of their mouth, jaws locked in that spill out love on grounds, having everyone be cautioned because the floor looks like something so very different. They are a reminder that you are the composition of all the elements, that the fire in you is that passion that revives and rebuilds communities. That water is where you go to cleanse, revive, re-energize, and rebirth. That the fire is jealous of how well you light up a room. That wind is craving the presence of your skin, and that goosebumps are your soul's ovation. They are sorcerers. When you ask a magician how they look after themselves, what you to do to keep the magic alive, they have to selflessly say, you are confused. You think I need to chase outwardly sources to remind myself that I am a god. I've seen warriors, ones with spears as spinal cords, ones that chew on bullets like gum, ones that have chests like armor, ones that write revolutions on the palm of their hands, ones that scream out victory, tattoo truth on tips of their tongues, one that make the whole world feel what it means when justice is coming and you are not on the right side of history. I have seen warriors. I was raised by a woman who had a shotgun to her left and coffee to her right. A matriarchy, women with depth of melanin that made the ground insecure about the depth of its shade. I was raised by women that mastered a dish that almost made you feel like you were being alive again, and a smile that made people uncomfortable because you never knew what followed next. My grandmother was a warrior, and her stillness was like chilled ice on bare skin after a hot day, and her voice was like sirens before armies come. And she never needed to say too much for you to know whatever she had to say needed to be capsule put into a jar, held so tightly that when you forgot what her voice sounded like, you let it out in a closed room. I have been raised by warriors. And our revolution was presence. It was our willingness to exist. It is the way we have fought systems. We have never needed to say too much because me simply being here is me saying enough. I was raised by women who tattooed revolutions on their chest, spilled out realities that you dodge. Your revolution is evolving out of everything they told you is the norm at the expense of those who matter. That there shouldn't be any casualties in the world, that money never has made you happy, but it's made you stable, but not enough for your soul to catch up. So as we continue to prioritize the dollar and the soul is fading and you are running around yourself in a big house, in a big space, and you don't know how to spell love anymore, that is the system that you have been bought into. So our revolution was reminding people that the greatest thing you could have is a relationship with soul and the people that exist around you. When was the last time you needed a hug and asked somebody and sunk into their arms like you were a child, not fearing the judgment or the questions that would follow? When was the last time you said, I love you, and asked for somebody to say it back because you needed it to be your medicine that day to overcome a society that didn't ever tell you that they loved you? When is the last time you were greater than your fears? Gave yourself permission to heal? When was the last time you stopped dancing with depression, overdosed yourself on isolation, separated yourself from the mass, and became something greater than your past? When did your revolution start? Or is it still loading? Are you still waiting for permissions and invites from other people to tell you who you are? Do you need your soul cracked open and a stranger with poetry to step inside, disturbing the frequency of your heart? Because there are some amongst us that were birthed with a pen, and that pen could be a spear. And my grandmother always used to tell me, your voice is like a call to prayer and your tongue is a dagger. So when people give you an invite, shoot, aim, and be precise. So welcome to your first invitation to your soul having its own home inside your body. For allowing me to the depth of your frequency and who you are, realigning, delving deep and willing to be uncomfortable, shedding tears whenever they come to you naturally and organically, because pretending to be strong is the weakest thing you could ever do. Masking yourself from your humanity is a disservice to those who need humanity shown to them. Depriving yourself of love because you do not trust yourself to make the right choice is the greatest mistake you have. Because people not loving you is not an account on who you are. You choosing to have faith is your medicine. Isolation does not beget greatness. Separation from the mass does not make you special. It makes you afraid. So delve into these rooms and allow Huda the goddess to take you there. I can't say this enough. Beyond the poetry and the performance, my poetry is my soul. This is not an act. This is not a thing that I do. This is who I am. In Arabic and in English and in bold and in silence and in rooms and without an audience. If you get nothing out of tonight besides a conscious reminder that greatness sometimes is a choice, and you have to choose to be that. The same way being an artist is, beyond it being a gift and an attempt to your own self-revolution and the world's revolution, it is progress. Let this night be a reminder of who you are. Let this be a reminder of your humanity and allowing it to have space. Because if to excel in this world is to carry a mask and pretend to be okay way too many times and collapse on your own. That sometimes we are hiding from the people that sit the closest to us. And they don't know the depth of who we are. You do not owe the world a mask as a way of defining your strength or greatness. There is something that is dying slowly within us, which is that humanity. Our whole life cannot be a performance of persona. It cannot be all a performance of success and accomplishment. There is love. It sounds corny, but there is love. And a spark in us that is slowly fading. So my name might fade from your mind, and this night might be just another show. But how you feel at any given moment that really sparks, I hope you take that with you. That will be the greatest gift that you can give me back. So, yeah. Okay, we're done! That is us! My name is Huda the Goddess. You have been, oh, stop it. Thank you so much for having us, for enjoying us, for embracing us. You are magic. You are the magician. You are the revolution. You are the arts. You are the community. Please take care of yourself and each other. Reuben Lewis! It is an honor. Such an honor. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Gave me, and God has blessed, is a reminder that you are so special, that you are magic, that you are the art you are searching for, that you are the audacity, the revolution, the beginning, the end, the middle. You are every masterpiece you seek in the world. And that is the most encompassing and most important thing to take home with you. So this affirmation is a sign off to exactly that. Cool? You're going to repeat after me. Are we ready? Yes. You sure? Yes. Beautiful. After 3, I'm going to say, I am great, but I want you to